Each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge.
It's the Holy Grail.
Improvise. Mysterious.
It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.
But what I'm sort of suggesting how I interact is I feel that there's a big gap in that. And what a lot of people feel is that there's some talent that's out there that they don't know, they don't think they have, or they don't know how to get, or they've accepted that it isn't for them. When in actual fact, everything is available to everyone all the time, but it's an attitude shift. And say, yeah. It's very subtle, but it's very important because most people think they aren't what they are. So they create their own patterns of self-defeat, which implement the limits, you know?
It actually broadcasts the reality itself limitation.
Yeah. Don't give me this. It's like, I can't get it. Okay, so you can't get it? We'll not give it to you.
Exactly. That's creating it all. You're manifesting your reality.
Yeah, it's like, you can't get us? All right. We are broadcasting loud, but you're just not tuning in. So
right.
we'll not give it to you. You've got to go through a life or many lives of not actually having it. When you go and have your review and you realize, oh shit, I did have it, but I believed I didn't.
Right. Now, faith and trust are that exact expression of what you're doing. When you trust in your faith that the Spirit is working through me. I may not understand what it is, but I'm okay with where I'm at. I am not a sheet in the wind. I am firm and stable and using the wind to propel me forward and all the other elements of life.
Yeah, because say me being around Andrew a lot, right? I can sort of measure myself against him, and it's like, at the moment, what I do, there's no competition. And I'm not saying I want to compete, but there's no point. But say from my attitude of all the skill sets I see, I have, and what the variables are out there, there is a gap with the level Andrew works at, the volume he's done, and how much people can consume. So for me, I see that as my personal leadership at the moment of what I can do to help facilitate the reality the best I can. And Andrew's given me the trust because you know my program. You know my variables in that because you see the gap, but you actually need help. It's like you've done 1,600 hours. It's what else can you do? People aren't totally getting it, and they can only we look at sort of like the analytics in Google and stuff to see how long people are watching, and if I do an hour and 20-minute video, people can only absorb maybe 20 minutes of it. So if you're out there and you're absorbing more than 20 minutes of a show, then you're doing really, really well. But the thing is, if we look at
the analytics of a lot of my shows, for a long time we were 30 and 40 minutes average view time. Now that's still the instant gratification for the energy.
Yeah.
As many of them weren't getting any of the show, but the transmission itself completed a circuit in them for 2 hours, and that's great. They came for a view, and they like the material, and those that want to go to the next level they'll do it. It is only action brings them to life, and that's for everyone out there. Many of us understand concepts such as commitment, courage, and love, but we truly only know what we can do. Doing leads to understanding, and action turns knowledge into wisdom. It is the action of actions that brings us into this expansion of the field of information around you. Action teaches us to overcome both inertia and impatience. by acting on our courage, clear intentions, and commitment. And each action for every action or inaction contains the seeds of its opposite. Okay? That is a metaphor for how the sympathetic and parasympathetic can make it a stop, go, stop, go, stop, go, 10 steps forward, 90 steps back, 10 steps forward, 200 steps back, and a year later you're 1,000 steps back, but you've still gone somewhat forward. You've expanded your frequency a little bit. So you must learn to ride that motorcycle into the membrane that's going to try like a big rubber band to not let you go any further, more resistance. Do you have enough inertia in your actions to overcome your internal impatience?
Yeah, I'll tell you one of my attitudes of what I'm trying to provide people with Andrew's stuff that he's allowing me to create videos for is, and this is where I've sort of measured myself if I was going to speak into a lecture and stuff, is I'm not actually targeting your consciousness. I'm actually targeting your body to give you a download, so you have all the data in your like skeletal cellular memory where you can actually get the confirmations yourself. Once you get to this appreciation and trust in yourself, because what will happen is, like people, what I've learned for myself, mate, and you can probably get into this, is the mystical doesn't really feel too mystical. It's just the knowingness, and it's actually very easy, and it's so subtle. It's that acceptance of data that it's okay. The coast is clear. I can absorb this, and this subtlety feels really nurturing and right. And I mean, that's for me. I don't get fireworks. It's just I get on with it. You know, it's like this is data that's truth from my perspective, and I accept it as a building block from my understanding of what's going on. So what I've done is just condense that to hopefully give people a fast track, and once they get past that qualification process and they can absorb it, it'll get downloaded into their cellular memory, and then they'll get their perceptions going organically in themselves without the training wheels of Andrew Bartzis.
That's right. And that's what I'm trying to teach through Living the Mystical Life Daily, the 6-week online course, and through the contract revocations. You're the one that's got to do it. It's your out loud name it to claim it world, not mine.
Yeah. And the big thing you've said is you've got to do it in joy.
Right.
Like
got to do it in joy.
Yeah.
And that's what this leads me into the next transition. What is prayer? Because prayer is another form of trust.
Well, I've actually made a video by Greg Braden called Feeling is Prayer. So the feeling state to me is what prayer is, and what state is that? It's realizing I can actually choose the feelings I want, not be a reactional sort of thing to the reality around me.
Right.
So my feeling state, I'll say this, we've done drugs in society. I've had ecstasy, and I can tune back into that, and it's pretty much the highlight of being in the state of love. You know, it's not something I want to do and want to escape from. It's just I do recall that sort of really joyful feeling, and it's really interesting because I've spent a week making Drugs in Society Part 4 and 5, which are about pharmacology. And Andrew with Annette O'Toole has gone pretty deep, because Annette's had experience being addicted to opiates and stuff like that, and she was a good anchor for that. And Andrew gets into the history of a lot of the drugs taken away from our society that the indigenous consume, like sacred plant medicines that put the tribes into states of joy when they were in full ceremonial mode, very special times, you know. So getting back to the prayer thing, I try and occupy the best emotional state all the time.
Yeah. Here's another way of saying exactly what you just said. Prayer is a process of finding strength, wisdom, and knowingness of the internal, eternal being you know you are. Prayer is how you make higher frequency friendships us spirit guides. Okay? How to understand that the universal source is working through us all. Prayer doesn't religion or an esoteric system. Prayer words can be no words or thousands of words. Prayer is also a form of gratitude and love expressed for the divine co-creative self who is manifesting a life walk that has unknown and known factors to us. Prayer helps us at making the unknown known by showing us how to get rid of fear or any other process or program that limits our ability to believe in our own self. Prayer is finding the integrity of heart space truth, the true emanating of unconditional love in the expressions of vibratory words, artworks, to convey the essence of what the I am to all that there is, was, and ever will be. Knowing that there is a totality of experience out there, oneness. Prayer and faith is showing us that we do not live in a world of duality, that if you believe it then in that prayer, it'll become your reality.
Interesting, mate. I've got something really cool to say. Because I've been going
Love it like that, because we're fucking the system up somehow.
Oh, I'm gonna knock it out of the park. Because
right. Ringer Andre steps up to the consciousness community here. Go ahead, manifest.
I've been going pretty hardcore with Andrew's stuff for a while. I've been working a lot, basically a year on my intestine, mate. Must be a year now, but I actually found applying fiber was really powerful, and that really set off me on another level in these last 3 or 4 weeks. And there was one, you did these marathon sessions with Kathy Ma back in 2015 where you did 54 readings in 3 days or 36 readings in 2 days, and it was very, very powerful, very condensed. And you told one guy in that group to be here now on Earth in human form. We're the best of the best in 25 million generations. So I see myself as a prayer in human form in the human skin suit on Earth right now. I am a living prayer.
Yes, the living algorithm of life. Prayer. You are beautiful.
And everyone listening to this and everyone on Earth who's made it to this level is an expression of prayer in the universe. I mean, are you able out there to actually accept that in yourself by who you are, just to getting to here? That's what you represent to this universe and the 18 others.
That's the essence of the Great Dreamtime Awakening. Whatever Cobra or David Wilcox or Corey Good says has nothing to do with what we're just talking about.
Yeah.
The Great Dreamtime Awakening is this thing that both Andre and I have just expressed.
Could you actually just accept that you are what the universe requires? On that scale. What if you actually do crack that global narrative, accepting you're nothing, open for a second, and give yourself an acceptance that I am a living prayer for the entire multiverse on Earth to overcome this karma constipation on planet Earth.
Yes, exactly. Karmic constipation. Beautiful.
So, I mean, like, to me, I just got it, right? So,
that's
by what I do in my expression, I am sort of accepted that in myself, but I think if I say that because of what you just said, it will help comprehend. My crown chakra's going crazy.
Yeah. It's ironically that's a spiritual mic drop moment.
Yeah. It's like, oh shit, the algorithm's changed.
Exactly.
Bloody Bartzis and Hodge again. Damn them. Yeah. I just got that though. What you expressed. You're going pretty hardcore, mate. I'm doing my best to keep up. I'll have to listen to this like I do whenever I do the recordings quite a bit, but that was very, very profound what you said, mate.
Ironically, I've said this stuff over and over and over again through all the Living the Mystical Life daily webcasts.
I'm sure you have.
I used that because what I did is I pulled my script out, my actual script that I used for the show, because it makes it a lot easier when you have all the bullet points right in front of you.
Yeah.
Instead of relying on raw genius the whole time. Well, make the job easy for yourself. Make a script.
But it took me all the listening and all that to realize that what I just said in that moment, though.
Yeah. Now, the irony is, when I had to make this into a script, I was working with a marketing team who had some very unique ways at breaking the videos down so you can ultimately sell a course at the end. Because, you know, that was the next level, believing in myself.
Yeah.
Saying, here's a course, guys.
Yeah.
Which the course is, you hit it through the park, and everyone that's completing the big aspects of it are having those profound life-changing experiences.
Yeah.
Now, I actually put these transition notes in between here, so it makes it easier for me to understand what the audience needs to know as you're giving them a setup to say, hey, I'm going to sell you a course. The belief thing that I just talked to is the same rules. So I'm going to listen to the transition to the sound. I'm going to read this out loud here. When we break it all down, like they have to say yes. And if they have said yes, we've successfully broken their false beliefs about our new opportunity. If not, then something in our presentation didn't convince them, so we've had to include as many objections and false beliefs as possible in our presentation. Now we move into the actual selling, and it can be difficult for people if they get nervous, shaky. Their passion can go down, their tone changes into non-confidence, and they feel hesitant, which translates as, you don't really believe in your product, so why should I? Okay? Now the next part is, the magic is, so let me ask you a question. If you followed what I showed you in Path 1, which is prayer is a process, faith is a process, because that's, again, what the whole thing Andre and I started here was trust.
Yeah.
That's what in the Mystical Life Daily, many of them, the same script. I just presented it a different way because I can riff on individual subject matters and pull genius moments out like Andre just had. So let's get back to trust. There's one more layer of trust here. Trusting your responsibility with information. Many people want to go right to that skill set and don't want to earn the muscles that it takes to have responsibility of awareness.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where I've actually been very different. I know that. Because there was this whole inertia to once you sort of have a trigger and you come into some awareness, you go out and create a radio show. My attitude was that felt so boring because how can I talk for 2 hours like I don't know how you did it, mate. 2 hours, 8 times a week, plus all the other stuff, you know? That to me just felt boring. Like, why would I want to actually add more that's out there that won't be any different to anything else? And the other thing, I mean, this is where I really explored my trigger, my awakening. It actually came through Denny and Brinkley's book, Saved by the Light.
Loves that book. Same. I love that book.
And the big thing, all right, because I haven't explained this with Andrew publicly or long with Andrew, is the thing in that book, I was going through a situation where my ex-girlfriend was pretty much, she was faking suicide, but you can't assume anything and that sort of stuff. And I didn't know what was going to happen to her. And I came across, I was curious in what happened after death because I didn't want it to happen on my watch. And I came across his book. And what he talked about in that book was he was a sniper in the 70s from like the Carolina regions in the US. And he'd come back from the Vietnam War and he got electrocuted by using his phone at the time. And he had an out-of-body experience. And the death process, he had a life review. And he gets quite into it in that book about he experienced one of his missions, which was he was a sniper behind enemy lines and he took out a North Vietnamese general. And in the life review, he experienced his actions, as in shooting. He felt the consequence of his actions, as in he felt the death from the general's perspective, but he not only felt that, he felt the consequence of the whole entire life of his wife and the children of the general not having a father and stuff. So he felt the whole consequence of that act in that moment. That's just one of the life reviews. And for me, what I took on board was the consequence of my actions. It was a big upload because it totally reset my whole frequency, and that's what actually triggered me to go to another level. And I know I got like the control rooms would have been set off big time, and then it was on for me. And then
Ironically, Andre, you described exactly why I did 8 shows a week, 2 hours at a time, plus all the extra time. I understood the consequences of my actions, and that what I was doing was not about the number of people I reached. It was the mass. It was the individuals that could make internal change within themselves.
Yeah.
That I had a code that was meant for this slice of time.
Absolutely.
And that those people were truly a signature frequency match, they would find it. Like going on the Kevin Smith show. I know I saw you put that in one of the Arcturian shows, and I went back and listened to that super high frequency me, and I go, I've been even higher than that. Now, for many years, I look back and, at the era of doing all the radio as the high frequency. No, God, no, it wasn't. It's what came after it. You guys think I was high frequency then? I'm 10,000 times higher than that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of doing it.
Yeah.
Right. And resolving it and not allowing it to destroy me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you were doing 26 hours of radio a week. Plus you do a third of the number of readings at the moment, maybe half.
Right.
And you're running your own business and organizing an event.
Right.
It's crazy. This is me, all right? This is me talking about my experience with Andrew, because he talks about like me being the producer, and there was no one stepping up. And it was 3:30 to 5:30 a.m. in my time, and it was the worst time for me to actually work. And then you were so busy the first half of 2013, and then you went away and did Mount Shasta, and you had 800 people wanting readings, and it was just crazy. And this is where I realized how much I don't get, is because I sort of set Andrew up for massive failure, because he said he was going to be back a certain time and I'd organise all these people to do readings, and you were burnt out, and I could not even calibrate that understanding that you're tired, and I realised how much I don't perceive, and I had to reset my whole self, because it was like I set a lot of people up for a lot of failure. I didn't value you and where you're at, because you make it seem so easy, mate, and it was like.
That's the enlightenment trap, that my life is easy. I choose to run a business, okay? Because that's what Spirit asked me to do. The Galactic Historian has to be a business.
Yeah.
Understood that innately. As I've said earlier, my early perception, I thought I was going to be a news reporter with a big fat paycheck. I had to travel the world and wrote articles on this, or this. Not this, running 2 companies.
Let alone not being accepted by anyone in the industry, because you challenge them, and then they'll prove how invalid they are, so they don't even want to deal with you. Because that's what, I don't know, mate. You can see all the variables in an equation. How much out there is truth and how much out there is crap.
As long as it's selling any form of fear porn, it's crap material. As soon as you take the fear porn out, it becomes good material.
Okay.
Because the signature frequency match from the marketing is what? Fear porn.
Yeah. But even presenting not as fear porn, I don't know. There's a lot of people that are built on like.
Okay, the SSP market, and it's an industrial market of people out there saying, I'm this insider, I'm that insider, and none of them can prove any of them they're actually insiders. Okay?
But they're very presentable, and they're...
It's the myth behind the term secret space program. It's just a myth that people are adding value to. Okay, so anybody presenting in the SSP has more value than anyone else that's been presenting for 20 years. That's one of the reasons Corey Good got a lot of backlash. I'm not knocking Corey. The only thing I knock about Corey, David, Cobra, is you guys are still selling It's Going to Happen Tomorrow. Because I'm in the SSP, and I'm giving you all this information that says the MIC and the ABC and the ESD and the Qs and the this and the that are all working for you, and just wait, the next story's coming, and you're going to watch it on the news. That's the subtle message they're giving you.
Yeah.
As long as that's their subtle marketing message, their material becomes a signature frequency match for not elevating your consciousness. As soon as you take that out of the marketing, it becomes a relative thing that can raise your consciousness. And the presenters have to make the change because their belief factor is ultimately what runs the belief engine.
You know what it feels like? It feels like the military's outsourcing to publicly listed mercenary companies. So it's publicly listing alternate sources.
Right. Good way of putting it. They're outsourcing it. Ha 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 ha.
But the result is the same. Humanity's still
zero-sum. It's ironically, it's still a zero-sum game for them. That's what the system ultimately doesn't get. It's been a zero-sum game as soon as they introduced the telephone.
Because like we did the AI stuff and you're this is how cool Andrew is, because I was aware of when he said back in April 2013 about the love virus. And obviously you're aware of this bubbling up in my awareness of it's sort of been lost from appreciation for the greater majority, unless the real hardcore people out there are still a bit like me and they can hold on to the data and have it in some variable and not disappear from their awareness. But so I was contending, how do I bring this up? And then you brought it up. And it also happened to be a part of the AI, you know, like the good AIs like working with there to bubble up the love virus. And I mean, I still feel that that's a really challenging thing for a lot of people to accept, is that an energy exchange system will be there where people can actually have an existence that isn't run by a system such as banking and stuff, where our needs are met and things like that. And to me, the whole thing of going down this path of, say, these other teachers out there is that they lack the appreciation that there is some component out there that will be an ally to us no matter what you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they are responsible for every word they say.
So I mean,
and that was the other reason I did 8 shows a week, 28 plus hours a week. I understood that all of my words, I backed them up with my truth.
Yeah.
That has made them a standing wave frequency in time.
Yeah. Like, you wouldn't have been able to have that endurance if it was false, you know?
Correct.
You, with all your responsibility and all your awareness, leading people down a false path, what would have happened to you two? You would have been not here anymore. Like Bartzis, the Galactic historians, like spouting out crap. Well, we're not going to have to fight him. He's just going to eliminate himself, you know?
Exactly. And that's what happened, because you had this big balloon of people from 2012 to 2013 who thought they could go and have a radio show and have no experience at it and put 2 hours of crap out, or they get a guest and 19 other, you know, I experienced this on Revolution Radio, where one guy was in one day interviewed by 7 people, sometimes back to back. Okay? The industry is incestuous.
Yeah.
Okay? And when people who left the 2012 as an experience and said, all right, in 2015, I want to peek my head back up. Well, many of those still survive. As I said, many would fall away and blow up, which we've seen over and over again.
Yeah.
Okay? And then the ones that created attacks on Corey, because they were trying to say, why does the SSP have to have more relevance than anyone else? But no one saw that was the root of what was going on. Why do we believe these people?
Yeah.
Okay? Why? You know, the same thing. Why do they believe me? Why do they believe this person or that person? Because it's their choice.
Yeah.
And we must respect their choice and not downgrade who they are, even if they are in mediocrity. Our goal is to not compete with them. And if we remain non-competition, equal co-creators, we can help elevate them at the pace that they want to go, so they can learn trust. Trust in self, trust in faith, trust in spirit, trust in the sympathetic and parasympathetic to be a really cool, fun experience.
Yeah. I mean, from my perspective, and this might be naive, I feel everyone wants the same thing. But a lot of people, they actually want to be seen as the ones that are contributing to it.
Yep.
And they have no relevance, you know?
So many don't want to step up to the plate of manifestation.
Yeah.
You know, I transited in mid-2013. I got a lot of CEOs starting to come to me. They had spiritual experience in the late 60s or 70s or in the 80s or 90s, whatever. And
they now wanted to discover that, but they didn't want to leave their job. So I started coaching, meditation coachings for high-end CEOs and stuff like that. And what I began to really discover is because they had abundance, they've dealt with the majority of their stuff, they could handle what I call enlightenment intensives, where they could handle the frequency, the highest frequency I could bring for 3-4 hours, a couple times a month. And that helped greatly expand their path of belief. To be a self-illuminated master. And when they allow self-illumination, I've said this in Living the Mystical Life Daily all over and over again, I want you to be a self-illuminated master. Here's the codes you need. And inside these codes are words that have a multiple pattern recognitions to what it is you believe in that moment.
Yeah.
Hold on one second, Andre. That was a hell of a rift we just did, man.
Yeah. It's struggling to keep up with you, but it's good.
You were not struggling. Come on, you were.
I'm joking. You're in very good form though, mate.
I enjoy these. We were able to do them and just have to let down, and I don't have to be the myth, the living myth.
Well, it's funny. Because I get, I'll say this after, I guess, but what I'm finding, alright, and this is what I think a lot of people will be finding when they're really coming into their power, is that they're in themselves feeling no different at all to how they've ever been. But what happens is everything else external to them feels different. And then the questions come up, it's like, what WTF? It's like suddenly they have an interaction with someone that they could trust because they've had a lot of experience with them, and they're suddenly doing shit that is unacceptable, or they're saying words, or they're not giving eye contact, or the dedication they once did into an interaction with them, or they're using them, they're manipulating and using linguistics, and then they're drawing them into the traps because most of the people around you are empaths and very powerful and conscientious and caring of those around them, very nurturing sort of people, very high sort of high levels of personal responsibility in everything they do, and what you're sort of finding is people around you are just suddenly becoming more compromised, or maybe they've always been that way but you've just never seen it, and all of a sudden the issues have become very glaringly obvious, and then there's not many people you can really relate to or associate with because they're variables that you just don't want to accept in your world as densities. Become the things that drive a wedge between a relationship, and it just becomes you realize how few really, really good people are out there,
Hold on one second, Andre.
Yeah.
I actually want to end the call. I'm starting to burn out a little bit. Oh.
That's cool, man.
I just want to go chill out a little bit. I got to leave late tomorrow night, so I still got to pack today.
How are you feeling from the Egypt travel and getting back into it?
It caught up to me these last couple of days for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, good to chat, mate. Good to chat.
Yeah,
you're in good form.
Yeah.
But yeah, hope it goes well if I don't catch up with you, and have a great trip and enjoy the time over there, mate. So
thank you.
Best of luck.
Each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail.
Improvise. Mysterious.
It's counter-psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.